Hello, and welcome to Wizards Respite Sanctorum, the show that dives into all things TTRPGs. Today we have a really fun show. We're talking about war stories, GM war stories, the craziest things that have happened to GMs and DMs across the RPG community at their tables. But as always, I am not alone. I'm here with my co-host, Zachariah. Zach.
Hi, everybody. My name's Zachariah. I'm happy to be here. This is gonna sound disingenuous because I already did it once and I screwed up the audio. But my face, if you're seeing it on the camera, is messed up. I am on antibiotics for it. It tried to kill me. It's just a nasty ingrown hair that became really infected over the course of like 2 days. But I'm soldiering on for podcast reasons. But I'm really excited about war stories. We've been trying to get people to do war stories forever via the podcast audio, but no one would. And Wiz came up with the novel and smart idea that we probably should have done in the first place and just asked people for them on Twitter, and we got a ton.
Yeah, we did. Twitter, we've talked about this in the past. Twitter is a cesspool, but there's one island that rises above it all, and that is the RPG community. They are the nicest people out there. They are the most fun people out there. It's a great place to network if you're into RPGs.
Yeah.
And I reached out to the community, and they did not disappoint. Let's see. So should we jump into some of these crazy stories?
Let's definitely jump into it.
Okay, let's see. Let me see. Sorry, I lost my place there.
Oh, you're fine. That happens, man. That happens. Just so everybody out there knows, we actually recorded 21 minutes of this already. And then we found out that we weren't recording my audio. So I'll just tell you that story while Wizard tries to find his place. So I already screwed everything up flow-wise. Yeah. And this happens regularly on this channel.
Okay.
Where are we starting?
Okay, let's just jump into some of these random ones. They were all pretty good.
Yeah.
This is from Tony G-Man. His handle is at Dystopian Dawn, which is actually a content creator out there. At some point, I need to do a review of his book. He's got a pretty psychedelic, crazy book. Party finds building like Cabela's in the wastes. So wasteland, Right. This is a post-apocalyptic world. Inside is a crazy mutated Techmancer. I love the idea of Techmancers. I haven't played a game with them yet. They made friends out of stuffed beasts within this Cabela's. Do you have a Cabela's up there?
Cabela's is like a sporting goods thing, right?
Yeah, it's
I've
like
seen them.
a Walmart of sporting goods. Yeah. And in Cabela's, for those of you that don't know out there, they often have a giant museum of taxidermied animals.
Yeah.
So this party goes into this basically giant Cabela's and find a Techmancer who's made friends out of all of these taxidermied animals in there. Normally PCs attack and loot. This time, Scoundrel found a trap door, dropped in, and befriended the wizard. The party now works for him as a scavenger.
Oh no! Oh no! What was your party doing? They were like, this guy makes friends out of taxidermy. He will be our new Lord Dementus. What are you doing, man? You out your mind? Oh man, I want more information. How did this wizard convince them to then work for him if he is so very obviously insane? I need to know more about this Dystopian Dawn.
Yeah. This is like Fallout meets D&D meets like now you're best friends with a crazy taxiderm. Oh, the types of what kind of missions is he sending them on? I mean, they say scavenger. What is he looking? More friends? I don't know. I don't like that, but I also very much like that.
I love post-apocalypse stuff. I love Mad Max. I love Mad Max Fury Road. I cannot wait for Furiosa. I think that like a good post-apocalypse game. I've had a couple of like decent fun times with post-apocalyptic stuff, but I would never say that I've had like a really good solid post-apocalypse game, session with people. So I got to check out this Dystopian Dawn, especially if his content is post-apocalypse, because that would be amazing. I cannot believe though that they're working for the crazy I need more information about that. I just do.
That's
Have you ever had a party like make a friends with a character that like in no way, shape, or form was supposed to matter, and then they're just there for the rest of like the game, becoming an NPC that has to be there? That has happened to me so many times in games where it's like they're interrogating a goblin and somehow they get like Stockholm syndrome, and then the goblin's just their best friend in the world. Like
there's I played so I don't typically lean into the DM NPC mentality. I know there's a bit of a debate on there. My DM
what do you mean by that?
I had a DM NPC sort of. Whenever I do a DM NPC or anything like
I see. You mean like a character that's you, but you're also DMing.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of like directing and starring. I gotcha.
Exactly. I don't really do that, and when I do have like a character that follows the NPCs, or the PCs, the characters, the players quite a bit, he's always kind of more of like a background supporting character.
Right.
And so I had this one random experience. I wanted to reward the players. They invited everybody onto their ship, and they took off. Well, because they invited everybody, there was this random crazy guy that just showed up. And my players were like, okay, we don't trust them. This was just like a random guy I threw in there. This was not a character. This was nothing planned. And they're like, oh no, we know our GM. He's screwing with us. This guy's going to murder us. So they decided to like follow him around. They investigated him. They did all this stuff. And he just rambled on. He was just a crazy guy. And so they actually used a spell to cleanse him. And I was like, okay, they work really hard. I'm rewarding him. This is going to be a wizard. They just cured a curse. Now we have they fell in love with this guy. They invited him into the party. They wanted to keep him around. I was like, really? Really? And so Wizard Tim was born. He was this goofy little wizard that
Tim the Enchanter
all the time. What's that?
Tim the Enchanter?
Tim the Yep.
Big pointy teeth. I'm a sucker for Monty Python. I know that's cliched nerdism right there, but I'm a sucker for it. I have a couple of stories with this. Some of them I'm going to, by proxy, tell them for my garage game master Johnny, who has explained this to me in great length, and I love it. They've been playing this garage game off and on for like 10 years with the World of Darkness stuff. I am relatively new to it. I'm only in my second year there. Like, I knew them back in high school. There was a big falling out, and then kind of through my channel, they reconnected with me and invited me back, which is really cool. That's a whole other story for another day. But so I made a mage because I had never really played World of Darkness. A mage just kind of old, doesn't know what's going on, kind of like me in the game kind of thing. He immediately meets this other mage who is potentially my favorite NPC of any game of all time, called Steve with the Stick. And Steve with the Stick is amazing. He's just this mage that has he's in the mage order, but he has no real responsibility, and he just loves to hunt vampires, and he's just excited about everything. He's like a golden retriever that probably smokes too much pot, and always has a stick for some reason. I still haven't figured out what that stick is used for. Everybody calls him Steve with the Stick. He hasn't used the stick in front of me in any way, shape, or form. He just always has this stick. So Steve with the Stick is amazing. And then there was another character that showed up, because I don't want to get into the super kind of details about the game, but I ended up collecting a bunch of weird NPCs in one place, because my character is just this natural dad type character. So like it would be like, I need help from this guy, and this guy goes to get help from somebody else, and then I feel like I've got to protect those people, so I end up like moving them onto my street, and it just gets really weird. But this vampire character came in named Victoria. Victoria is like, she's like late teenage, no, early 20s, like younger looking vampire who's been around for a while. And like Victoria's whole backstory is she was forced to be a vampire, like she didn't choose it. So she kind of lost her life to vampires. She doesn't want to be a vampire. She just stuck it, so she kills other vampires. Like that's what she does, which is one of the reasons I brought her in. And she's with another character's ex-character who was a werewolf. And like nobody can figure out if she's dominating him or not, which is hysterical. But so I became kind of like, I want to cure Victoria, which is impossible, but I want to somehow give her immunity back and take the vampirism out of her. And I love Steve with the Stick. And I talked to Johnny with this at length, and he was like, neither one of those characters were supposed to be characters. Neither one of them were supposed to be long-lasting anything. In fact, he keeps forgetting what Victoria's name is. He keeps calling her Veronica, Victoria. like every time. There was a whole game where he brought her in for Slasher. For he does these one-off slasher games for the slasher game, and nobody figured out. Well, I didn't figure out what the correlation was because he kept calling her Veronica. Like he never says her name right because he says he's gotten it wrong like 3 or 4 times. But the entire party became obsessed with her, so she just ended up becoming the center point. Same with Steve with the Stick. They were all part of a. This was like years ago when they were all vampires. They like hired him to kind of like, he was in the beginning he was hunting them, and instead of like killing him, they found a way to like basically hire him and convince him that they were okay vampires. And then from that point on, he's just gets dropped into every session at some point and appears. And but he explained, he's like, Victoria was supposed to be a bad guy, one-off bad guy. They fight her, they kill her because she's killing other vampires, but they convinced her that they were good, and they became obsessed with her, and then she became like the centerpiece of the game. And then Steve with the Stick, same thing. And I was like, that's hysterical to me. He's like, what's even funnier is that's why I laugh, because you're obsessed with curing her vampirism, because somehow it's happened again. She was supposed to just help you kill the vampires you wanted to fight, and now you've heard her sob story and want to somehow fix her.
You know what it's like, because we get so involved, this is all in our imagination, but like so is like so much like our reality. Okay,
yeah.
Let's be honest. When we have a friend in real life, what we think of that person is in our imagination too. Yep. They could be having their own world and their own life, and so these imaginative characters feel so real to us sometimes, and we want to like think about them. And you know, my character and that NPC are now friends, and so we want to nurture that because it's a knee-jerk human instinct to nurture that relationship and to help that person that you're now friends with, even though that person doesn't exist outside of all of our imaginations.
Yeah, I have real problems with that. Actually, as a GM, I'd say it's one of the biggest things I deal with, as silly as it is. I've said this repeatedly. I don't know if I've said it on this specific podcast, but I've played wrestling games off and on for like years. And in my head, those wrestlers are just out of work right now. And that makes me feel terrible. like they're all fictional, but like in my head they exist, and they're just not able to wrestle anywhere. And that is like, that's just like, I have a hard time separating with it. Not to get heady, but I think it was like Deepak Chopra said that we're all universes onto each other, just bumping into each other. If that's true, then I'm carrying like 17 universes behind me, and they're also slamming into me and everybody else at all times. You know, it's just crazy with role-playing games that way.
It is. All right.
This is the digression episode. You want to dive
into the next war story?
This is the digression episode. All things
I know it is.
digression. Yeah. What's a good one to get? What's a good one to read here?
Let's see. So many. Okay. I think towards the bottom there. Okay. There's an interesting one. Unless you had one particular lined out.
I don't.
So this is an interesting one. That's going to be another D&D. I think this is actually a 4E. You don't get a lot of 4E, 4th edition D&D players out there, so this is kind of interesting. Easily memorable one. In 4E, the party was mostly good. A rogue was chaotic neutral and was lawful, was a lawful good paladin. There was a lawful good paladin, I think was what he was trying to say.
I was a lawful good paladin.
I was a lawful good paladin. The rogue turned into a vampire. It was a secret. My character found out. My paladin character found out, without warning, used a daily. I think it's a type of spell, a day spell, and nuked him. 2 years, 2-year character gone. And they were not happy.
So this is from at Rakumoji Hi HQ. Hey man, you got to do what your character is. I will say this. I don't want to disagree with our listeners, because you got to play the character the way you got to play the character, and all we're getting here is like 3 sentences. Right? Like that's what we're getting of a war story. We're getting 3 sentences. So context is kind of lost on us. Also, This was a paladin and he was a rogue, so they were probably already at odds, and this was just the excuse to nuke him. That being said, if I might make one slight critique on this, I would say it would have been a little bit more interesting as a character to have the paladin have to deal with that emotionally. And like not even just like the killing him, but like wanting to kill him, but also not wanting to kill him because they've been together for so long. I feel like that would be a very interesting like I can't travel with you, but you're my friend. Like I have to kill you, but I can't kill you. Like I think that would have been a much more interesting emotional role playing arc. That being said, like I said, I don't want to critique anybody's gameplay, and we're only getting 3 sentences here for context. Again, it was already a rogue and he was a paladin, so they probably did not like each other to start, and this was like, oh, he's a vampire now? Waboom! Yay! Let's all have beer. But
exactly, yeah.
So I get that, and I also want to say, if you like, you got to play the character the way you got to play the character. Like that's right. The way you got to do it. But I think it would have been really interesting emotionally to like have that paladin have to justify his friendship versus the evil that his friend has turned into in his head every session.
It's a great role play opportunity.
Yeah,
it's a great way to get character character and personality moments to get in there and develop them and change them. This is a great opportunity to evolve a character, or to just put like a new detail within their personality. Like I'm right there with you. I would have been like, my brother in arms, I must slay you, or something along those lines,
right.
and have that like move forward after that moment being something that weighs on their heart in every decision they make for the rest of the game. Or something. There's so many opportunities that you could do so many things with that moment. So hopefully, he did say without warning he used the spell to just eradicate him. Hopefully there was something that moved forward, but we'll see. Maybe we'll get a reply from Rakumoji. And see. I said it didn't go.
I definitely want to say, Rakumoji, I do not mean any insult with my slight critique. I do want to say that. I don't want to, you supplied us a story. I do not want to in any way, shape, or form take shots at you. I'm just saying that, for me, I think it would have been very interesting to, how do I do this? But again, he does start off by saying the rogue was a chaotic neutral and he was a lawful good paladin, so they probably already hated each other and have been hating each other for 2 years, and at that point your character would just nuke him, So, there is something to be said about that,
Yeah.
I think, too, there is... I've said this before. I tend to play like a game master. You know what I mean? So, my thought process never goes to... The first thing I think is not always what is the first thing my character would do? The first thing I usually think is, what's the most interesting choice to make here?
Yeah.
And then I tend to like lean towards that, and that's not always good role playing. So like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, like make a story. How do you make a story out of this moment?
Right. How do I turn this into something that I can role play with, which is not always what my character necessarily would do. Like I always justify it in the end, but like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's always I do that too. It's called character development. Like, what would my character do? Maybe my character would do that, but isn't, and why? That's the and but thing for improv.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why wouldn't my character do that? What kind of consequences?
Yeah.
Is my character going to like have emotionally, psychologically, physically in the world around them as a result of not doing the thing they would normally do?
Right. Right.
And it's fun, and you kind of mix things up, and like that's why we play these games. We tell stories and make believe and have fun.
Yeah, I do have one I want to read, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
It is from Dimmerdark at Devron Alistair. Sorry. It says, if this seems meandering, I apologize. Party's paladin inherited a decrepit keep, parentheses, hag coven's lair, and noble title. Party invests all their gold in outfitting an expedition, parentheses, even bringing their own mercenary company, in parentheses, to reclaim it. Okay. I want to say this. I know that there's not like a huge story here, but I love stuff like this. I love one of the things that I think makes a really good game master, right? Is when the game, and this is something I always aspire to do, I do not always succeed, is when the characters have to get stuff, like when the characters acquire stuff in game. Makes you feel like more of a character. Like a lot of game masters just look at it as like, you've gained experience, you level up. But you have to remember that leveling up in experience is non-consequential in a lot of ways. It makes your character better. It allows you to fight more things and do more stuff. But in the world of what people look at you, they're not like, oh, look at that. He's a level 9 fighter. You know what I mean? Like, that's not how they look at you. Whereas, if you want your character to feel real, he or she has to have struggles and personal relationships and stuff like this. I love the idea that this game master was like, this guy inherited a keep. You can go find the keep, and then made an entire adventure out of that. And what I would really love, and if you can get back to us on this, Devron Alistair, I'd love a follow-up post, is, did you reclaim it, and did the next story become about restoring the keep to its original like glory? Because that would be cool. I would love an entire game where it's just like, go find this keep, then restore the keep, then fix up the village outside the keep, bring people in. You know what I mean? That would be so cool. I love games that give you in-world rewards. You know what I mean? For your hard work.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's not just gold or XP, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And meaning, like, not just gold, not just XP, and maybe not just, like, magic loot or something that enhances your character's, like, capabilities, like a magic weapon or something, but something like this, like, the inherited family keep. That's emotionally invested within the character's backstory.
Yeah.
Like, something like, even if it's not even a tangible thing, it's like avenging your father's death.
Yeah.
Princess Bride, Indigo Montoya style,
Yes!
Killed my father. Like, that's a moment in time that you will always be able to have. And I often will, like, add in, like, if as the GM, if you avenge your father's death, you reclaim your father's sword, and then that's a +2 sword or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's something that your character will also hold on to, but it's not just like the thing.
Right.
It's the father's sword, Right. It's the inherited keep. It's the family. It's a part of who they are.
Yeah, if I can go on a tangent for a second, real quick, huge game master tip to any game master out there who wants to get good attention from their players and retention of storyline, the stuff they tell you about their character backstory matters to them. It might not matter to you or the plot that you have made, but it matters to them. So you better take that stuff and put little morsels of it in the game, especially if you are running a module or like a pre-made scenario or something like that. I cannot tell you how much better it is when you take that storyline and you go, where can I add in little chunks of, Jared's storyline so that I can keep that thread also going, because that's gonna get them so much more attached. I mean, on the TMNT stream, I'm running Truck and Turtles for Palladium's TMNT, and it is, I think we've done more side stuff than we have the actual quest storyline, because you guys are so interesting as characters that I keep tossing extra little morsels in. But you have to do that. That will get your players involved. They're giving you that backstory because they want you to use it. Nothing makes a player happier than when he tells you about his revenge storyline about his father. You actually give him storyline about the revenge storyline with his father. Nothing will make them happier. There have been way too many tables where I'm like, here's my backstory, and then they're like, great, but what's your stats? And then we just play with the stats, and they never ever touch on my backstory. If you want me to be interested, like, I've given you this, like, this is the character, please give me something back,
Yeah. And that's definitely something I always try to do as a DPM. I'm 100% agreement with you. You see, and when you have those moments, from the GM side, and you have those moments, and the character walks in, and they see this object that was right in their backstory, or they see the man that's killed their father in the backstory, whatever it might be, see their eyes light up.
Yeah.
You see, like, the moment of, oh my god,
This is, yeah.
And it doesn't just entrance that one character. A game I'm in right now, I'm GMing right now, we've had moments where, some big thing is revealed, and all of the other characters all the other players are quiet. They are not talking. They're not on their phones. They're not doing anything. They're all staring at the character that just came face to face with the man that killed their father. And they're like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
They're enwrapped with the story. That it's an emotion. Like, I mean, in Astral Drive, the one I'm playing, Phil's character, Nullus, came into, like, met his brother, and I was just like, what do you mean? Yeah.
I would say a similar thing happened when you met the Vampire Queen. I think that, like, when you get those moments in, it definitely, like, you could tell all the other players, like, they put their phones down. You're like, wait, what? He met who? Like, I love those moments. You should do your favorite now. Your favorite one. Okay. I think.
My favorite one. Let me. I want to get this right. I want to read it right. This one. This one came from Thomas Harris. His handle at Twitter was Thomas H929300020. One of my favorite friends went into labor during game nights, and we had to rush her to the hospital, so we wound up having a new player by the end of the evening. Everyone at the table wound up being the godfather to the infant.
The godfather of which god? Right?
Each one had their own god.
Right. We'll teach you about all of them.
I pledge to my god Thor that I will be the godfather. I pledge to Zeus.
I think that this is awesome. And I'm going to say it. I am very glad that you did not continue the game. The next post that we talk about, I'm going to talk about that. There are reasons to stop playing a game for the night. I love TTRPGs. I know you guys out there love TTRPGs. I'm glad that you guys weren't, like, in the waiting room, like, rolling your d20s to figure out what's going on,
Dude, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Like, if I was at that table and I was just a player, my friend gave birth, I would go home, and I would build them a crib or a playpen in the shape of a D20.
Yes. Yes.
But I would, yeah, like you said, I would go home after that. I would just be like, okay.
Game is
okay? It okay? I'd go to the hospital like at that point. I mean, I'd be invested in their story now.
Yeah, I definitely would be invested as well. I think it's cool. I don't know how long ago this happened. I would love to know if the kid actually plays role-playing games now.
That would be awesome.
That would be cool.
Thomas Harris, if you're out there, you hear this, please tell us.
Please back us up. And we also want to know what the kid's first name is.
Yes.
Because the kid's name needs to be epic if you were born in that.
Yeah. That if mom was fighting some great big BBEG and if my mom was and that was my story, I was born at that moment, I would want to be named after that villain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or my dad's character or my mom's character, you know?
Yes.
I didn't say if it's a boy or a girl that that happily they gave birth to, but yeah, name me after your character. Unless it's like Snark or something like that. Maybe not that.
Like if they're both gnomes. Oh no! That poor child is gonna get made fun of quite a bit.
Yeah, maybe we could avoid. Maybe you could go with Aragon or something.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah. At that point, just pick just random name out of Lord of the Rings. I'm going to go ahead and say my favorite one, if I can really quickly find it. It is towards the top, and that is had a guy. This is from MC Evans at Mark Evans 0526. Had a guy projectile vomit once, food poisoning. Everyone pitched in to clean up, and we took him to urgent care. After it was all done, we came back and continued to play.
That's dedication.
Yeah, I was saying you could quit. You could walk away. I think projectile vomiting is a good reason to be like, yeah, I'm done now. I think then we go home. I've had Brad's vomit on me. Can I go home now?
Yeah.
Stellar is the call. Right. That's a reason. I do appreciate that they all helped him clean up and took him to urgent care.
You know, those are good friends. Like at that point, you've ascended from being just a game table to being like a fellowship of like the table. Like this is, these are people you can count on in life.
Unless it's all like busy dads and moms who just had canceled 2 months in a row and were like, we have to do this. I need this. Hook them up with saline. Put them at the table. You're rolling dice, Brad. You're not walking away from this, man. I got a bucket for you right next to you. You can puke in that bucket. We'll change it. We're going to find out what happens to the Dark Elf Cleric. It's going to happen tonight, man. We're going to get you in the urgent care. We're going to get you back.
Yeah, that's right. We got hospital. We got a doctor on speed dial. There. Jenny over there is not just a cleric. She's also a nurse. You have no excuse.
Jenny's a paramedic. She'll fix you. Fix him, Jenny.
That's right.
My character's about to level. Fix him. He's been level 2 for 6 months. Fix him.
I would have to say if the sick guy comes back and plays, he needs to walk away with
it's nap time
or sword or something. He's earned it.
I'm gonna make a blanket statement about myself. I love TTRPGs. I've played them for 90% of my 42 years on this planet. If I vomit, I'm done for the day.
Yeah.
That's that. I will be done for the day with doing anything, let alone role-playing. If I poop myself, same thing. Either one of those things happen, I'm out. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't want anybody to be like, why are you leaving, or question it.
There should be a scale there, though. Okay, vomit and poop, we're definitely out. But,
out.
I stubbed my toe this morning. Nah, you gotta man up, okay?
Where are you on the puke / stub your toe meter?
I will say, I once, I broke my hand a number of years ago. And 4 days later, I was rolling dice.
Nice.
I had a cast on. I had surgery that week. I was on a lot of painkillers.
It's rough.
And I remember sitting at the table, rolling something, and say, "I cast." I was playing a wizard. I cast something. And everybody looked at me and was like, "We're not in combat." I cast it anyways. And I look over.
You gotta double down at that point.
I'm really out of it right now.
Just like, well, I cast it anyway. I know what I'm doing. Who are you casting it on? Anybody and everybody.
One of my friends had to come by and pick me up because I could not drive.
No,
I could not drive.
That's rough. Good friends, though. Good friends.
Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah. I mean, these were good friends, too. They took him to urgent care. They helped clean up his vomit. That's good friendship. I will say this.
Clean up my vomit, man. I owe you one.
All joking aside, if you don't feel up to playing role-playing games, don't play role-playing games. They're for fun.
Yeah.
I say this so much to so many people I meet. It's fun. It's supposed to be fun. The minute it stops being fun, stop playing it. Walk away. Do something else for a little while. It just make sure you're having fun, guys. It's for fun. What's the next one you want to do, boss?
Okay, let's do Tony G-Man from At Dystopian Dawn, who I follow him. I've read his book. He's actually a content creator. Love his book.
Before you read this, I am just letting everybody know I'm so lost right now because we recorded 21 minutes and realized we didn't have the audio and started reporting. I don't remember what we've read and what we haven't on the show. So I'm glad you're keeping it straight because the minute you started reading them, I'm like, didn't we just do that one?
We did this one. We haven't done it in take 2.
Okay, all right. I think our take 2s on some of these have been better.
Tony Party finds them a building like a Cabela's, and again, like Cabela's is a they don't have them everywhere. They didn't have these in California when I lived there.
They don't have. I don't think they have a Cabela's around us, but we had a store that was just like Cabela's.
Okay.
I don't remember what it was called. Gander Mountain. We had a Gander Mountain.
Gander Mountain's the other one. Those are the two big ones in the countries, in more country-related states. Neither one of them exists in California. So I didn't find that until I left California.
I see.
Cabela's is like a big, giant hunting sports goods sort of super center. Okay? And in every Cabela, there is a big display to taxidermied animals from all over the world. And the one near where I live, there's even a gun museum, a straight up museum of guns, artifacts, ancient guns, all of
that. That'd actually be cool.
It's cool. It's cool. So they find themselves. This party finds themselves in a Cabela's in the wasteland. Inside is a crazy mutated techmancer. So wizardy tech guy made friends who had made friends out of the stuffed taxidermy beasts in this Cabela's like store. Normal PC attack loot, but this time normally the PCs attack and loot whenever they find somebody, but this time Scoundrel, which I think is probably this game's sort of rogue class, found a trap door, dropped in, and befriended the wizard, the crazy mutated techmancer who was talking to stuffed animals. They made him the best friend, and now they work for him as scavengers.
I need more information, Dystopia Dawn. How did they go, yeah, this guy's good. Let's work for this guy. He's got animals that talk to him in his head. What happened here? I want to know more than just like the sense of befriended the wizard. He's a crazy person. Listen, Cabela's has crazy. Why are you working for him? I love that stuff. I absolutely love it.
What things are they bringing back to a man whose best friend is a stuffed bear?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying. What is he scavenging?
What are the missions like? And oh god, do they get things for the stuffed animals?
Right.
Like, does the guy be like, hey, Pooh Bear over here needs a new ribbon. Can you guys go get him one? Like,
Right.
This is just so much fun. I would love to see this table in action. This sounds like a fun group of people.
I would love to see this in action. I love the idea of any time a NPC becomes like a main character that wasn't supposed to become a main character. I've had that happen to me multiple times. My garage game has a couple of them, and it just gets like centered around this character that doesn't like. It's the goblin that's being interrogated, and then all of a sudden, the party like has Stockholm syndrome and just takes the goblin in, and then the goblin is the most important part of the game. I love when that stuff happens.
So do I. I think there's just such like a connection that we have with our characters, but also the NPCs.
Yeah.
And I think it's like this knee-jerk, reaction thing where like in our minds, our relationships, we know that they're not real people, but there's this sort of knee-jerk animal like lizard brain thing where we are just driven to communicate with others and form relationships, right? Mm-hmm. And despite the fact that this NPC doesn't really exist, we still form a connection with them. It's in our mind, but we have this knee-jerk subconscious reason to be friends with this person.
Yeah.
And so they're a little weird, and they talk to stuffed animals. But, he's still a good guy. Yeah, he's my buddy.
I think that's a good thing for any game master to remember, is that anything you put in the game, it's no longer just like a plot device. It's just not. It's a living, breathing part of the world that your characters are interacting with, and any part of those could become more important to the characters than you were expecting them to be. Just like in life, when like something becomes more important to a friend than you ever thought it would become more important to. I think that like that's something you should always remember, is if you're going to put something in a game, be prepared for your players to interact with that in a way that you weren't expecting, Yeah.
Yeah. You've said it multiple times, being a game master is like jazz. You got to move with where the music takes you. You got to move where the game takes you. You got to move where the players take you.
Yeah.
And when they get invested, enrich that investment.
Yeah. The more rigid your storyline is, the less it will happen. A plan is a list of things that don't happen. Just like you gotta move with where your characters go. Think of it less of telling a story and think of it more of, I'm creating a world for them to interact with. And I'm going to give them threads and hope they move on those threads. But if they don't, you've got to be prepared to go with them where they go,
Right.
What's the next one you want to read?
Let's see.
Got time for a couple more, I think.
Yeah. Let's see. Did you have any? Let's see. Oh, this one was fun.
Okay.
This one was fun. This is from D&D Made Easy, and it's D-A-N-D. So they're a little bit of a play on the spelling there. Made Easy at D&D Made Easy on Twitter. So this is a 4E game. You don't see a lot of D&D 4th edition games, but 4E game tried using hypnotism against a DM NPC that turned out to be a big bad evil guy with my wizard who had 2 personalities already. So this was something that they had already built into the character, his split personality, and 2 spell sets. So 2 completely different spell sets. Rolled a nat 1. The big bad evil guy turned out to be a mind flare, and in disguise, he implanted a 3rd personality, a pyromaniac. Character was a dryad. Dryad, for those of you who don't know, is a tree spirit. They dwell in the forest, and now it's a pyromaniac. Those 3 personalities are not going to get along.
And it's a dryad, right? Which is like, did you say that? It's a tree person? Yeah, that's not going to get along at all. That's terrible. I do a shout out to BG3 for letting me know what a lot of those things are, since I'm very anti D&D in all of my games. But And if you want to know what a mind flare is, man, play Baldur's Gate 3. They're just fucking everywhere. But yeah, that's hysterical. I love a good botch in a game. I think that's the real thing, the crux of this. I had a really good botch once, a series of botches in a row, where we were playing this kind of post-apocalyptic game, and the party was headed to this village that was a shanty village that bandits had made for themselves, basically, and they just wanted to like negotiate with the bandits, but the bandits got a little hostile. So one of the more violent characters decided to ride his motorcycle, and then he was going to jump off the motorcycle and shoot the motorcycle as it got close to the bad guys and blow the motorcycle up and kill all the bad guys. What actually happened was he rolled 1 and he shot the gas tank, but it didn't explode. Because why necessarily would it? So gas started to just leak out. It slid down the main street of this shanty town. Fight ensues. One of the characters is a wizard, an elemental wizard. So the elemental wizard then rolls for a fire spell, completely forgetting that there's gas. Hits with the fire spell, but it ignites the gas. The gas blows up the motorcycle finally, but now the motorcycle is in the village. It catches the shanty town aflame.
Oh.
So one of the buildings is going up, so the elemental wizard then tries to cast an air spell to blow out the fire, rolls a 1 on that as well, and just spreads the fire to the shanty town. And basically, they burn the entire village down through a series of, like, poor decisions and ones.
This is like, simultaneously, this is like, if you think about it from the people that live there, that's a tragedy.
Yeah!
Okay, but at the same time, I just hear this clown music going on as he's now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, I almost feel like it's one of those smash cuts in a comedy show. Like one guy's like, "Watch this, guys," and then jumps off the motorcycle, and then just smash cuts to them like staring at the burning village, and like, how did this get so out of hand? What happened?
That many nat ones in a row is just tragic. And it can, you know what? That's one of those moments where I'm sure everybody walked away with like a beautiful memory of a terrible moment in a game. I once had a player. Actually, it was my sister. She was playing at my table. She was playing a holier than thou paladin. And they were on the run, and they were in disguise, and so nobody knew that they were good guys. A normal citizen was like, "Hey, stop!" Runs over to them. The paladin doesn't want to hurt a normal citizen. This is all like undercover work. And this guy tries to tackle the paladin, my sister, and she's just like rolls a natural 20. The guy rolls a natural 1. So she just backhands him. He rolled so badly, though, he goes flying off of a ledge. Okay? My sister, the paladin, is freaking out. She's like, "No, I can't kill a normal person, a civilian." And so she goes to grab him. I let her do an acrobatics check. Try and grab him to save his life. And she rolls a natural 1.
Oh, my God. So she goes over the edge.
The only
thing that makes sense.
They go into, like, basically, fortunately, it was actually like over an ocean. So they both go into the ocean. She tries to save his life. It's just it was such a beautiful moment. And she gets separated from the rest of the characters, and all this stuff happens. And it's just like natural ones can just be the instigation for the most interesting moments in the game. And in my games, it doesn't actually say this in 5e. Natural 1 is a critical failure. So if you're doing something a little outlandish, we're having fun.
Yeah, definitely. You got to. All right, well, we're at 48 minutes now. We've done a good podcast, unless there's another one that like leaps out at you.
I think we should end on a natural 1.
Yeah, natural 1. End on a natural 1. Botch all the way.
So, thank you real quick to everybody that responded to this thread. I want to do more things like this, more war stories, more interesting moments, and all of your games. There's even more on this thread that I'd love to like dive into in future episodes.
Yeah.
And please, if you're in here, please comment. Let us know some of these details. Flesh them out for us a little bit. We'd love to hear from you guys. Before we sign out today, Zach, is there anything you'd like to shout out?
The usual stuff. If you're watching this on my if you're watching this on my channel, you should head over to wizardsrespite.com. It is posted there, and we both get the view that way. But if you're watching this on my channel, we do also do quite a bit of TTRPG stuff. All stuff you can probably view at wizardsrespite.com. But we do a TMNT stream once a month. We do Astral Drive bi-weekly, which is played off Single Mod, which you can actually purchase at itch.io for only $6. That is my RPG system. It's rules light with a nice build system. You might enjoy it. And then, I think that just about covers it. We've got a lot of TTRPG stuff coming, but it's all baking right now. It's in the oven. It will be out shortly, but for the time being, we're not quite there yet. But yeah, check out all of the stuff that we have to offer.
Yeah, and thanks for shouting out the wizardsrespite.com. That's my big thing is the website. It's just like this episode, just like this show, all things TTRPG. I'm also selling TTRPG shirts there. This is the Rogue. If you want to wear your nerddom on you, that's a good place to check it out. I guess that'll do it for today. So thanks for listening to this, and until next time, keep rolling them dice.